Hello, hello, my little SSSDLers. It's been quite a minute, hasn't it? Well, we are here for the Season 4 awards ceremony, so let's just get right into it, starting with the final standings for Season 4. Of course, we had Wacka 8-0 at the top, followed by me, Log, Ystream, Sam, Fletch, Chick, and Haxon all made the playoffs. Thank you guys to everyone who played this season, played all your games, another forfeitless season, a lot of really fun games. This season was way more fun than I thought it was going to be all around as we come to a close. And thank you guys so much for playing. I appreciate it. Moving on to our kill leaders. A very unique situation this season where our top 5 kill leaders were all water types. I think that's very fun coming off the monotype season. I really don't know how that happened, but it's pretty neat. But yeah, Gren tied the all-time single season kill record set by Chien Pao in season 2 that Sam had, where 17 KOs. Greninja did it with a higher diff in less games and with more damage. So I think that's all impressive statistics. Palafin 15 is definitely in the top 5. I'm pretty sure. I mean, even Keldeo at 13, I think is good enough to be the kill leader for season 1, if I remember correctly. And then so many 1,000 damage. Our top 6 all had 1,000 damage. Megazard, Darm all had 1,000. Yeah, next we have the all defensive team showing off the best defensive Pokemon in the season. Reminder, they're in no order. Uh, Besides first team and second team are 2 separate tiers, but the order within the list means nothing. So to get us started with all defensive first team, the best defensive mons this season were Pecharunt from Fletch's Montreal Malignants, Mega Scizor from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins, Alamamola from Logs Undella's Wishful Umbreons, Slowking from Wackasqueef Quills, Archaludon from Ystream's Aussie Arcanines, and Mega Venusaur from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers. Pecharunt, what do you got to say? Like, it's Fletch. It's Fletcharunt, man. This is Pecharunt's second time. It made all defensive last season. It was our defensive player of the year last season. No, I think that was Slowking Galar. My bad, but it was definitely a nominee for the award last season. I'm 100% certain of that. But it's its second time in 2 seasons making all SSSDL defensive first team, both seasons with Fletch. Mega Scizor is the only Pokemon here that has not made an all defensive team before. I think that's quite interesting, but it was quite good for me this season. Definitely my best defensive Pokemon, the easiest thing to rely on throughout the season. Following that, no one's surprised to see it logs Alamamola here. It just clicked Flip Turn a lot this season, some mirror coats. Just it did its role quite well. It actually wasn't even that much of a wish bot. It definitely cooked Wish a little bit, but it really wasn't that much of a Wish bot this whole season. It's second time making all defense. I made it in season 1 with Steven. Next we have Slowking with Wacka. Same thing kind of as Aloe, just a regen bot, kept his team alive and in it, and that's a reason why both of those teams were very successful. Archaludon for Ystream. While he did run it offensive a handful of weeks, same thing goes for like Scizor, but while these Pokemon were run offensive, he relied on it big as a defensive backbone. Its stamina boost, they were a huge problem for me. I know it was a huge problem in a handful of games, and this is the 3rd time Archaludon has made an all defensive team in the 3 seasons it's been drafted, I believe. So pretty impressive stuff. And then Mega Venu, you know what Mega Venu does, man. And the last time it made all defensive was also with McGriddle, so I'm pretty sure in season 1 or 2, I can't remember. But Mega Venu had a crazy amount of damage taken as well. All of these guys either had a lot or their impact was felt, but I know Mega Venu had quite a bit. Moving on to the all defensive second team. We've got Hisui Gudra from Logs Undella Wishful Umbreons, Diancie from Samke's Ghost City Go-Goats, Ting Lu from Bash's Heartham Hunters, Galarian Slowking from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers, Quillfish from Wisdom's Atlanta Braviaries, Iron Hands from John's Edmonton Amolgas. As you can see, all 6 of these guys have already made an all-defensive team in a prior season, and it's G-King's 3rd time making it, which is pretty impressive. Hisui and Gudra, I mean, you know what all 6 of these Pokemon do. They're all natural, defensively inclined Pokemon. But Gudra's great typing allowed it to pair really well with Alamamola for Log and led him to being a really successful team. Diancie was a key backbone piece for Sam. Ting Lu was actually quite interesting as it had the most passive damage in the league by, I believe, like a long shot. It had like 544, something like that. And it also had a significant amount of direct damage. It did not get a single KO, though. Obviously, that doesn't factor into defensive team, but I do think passive damage is a pretty relevant stat. Um, it came just shy of 1,000 total damage with no KOs. It also had more damage taken than you'd expect for a Pokemon with no reliable recovery. So pretty neat. Galarian Slowking, you know what this mon does. Straight up. Paired well with Mega Venu. And I mean, just really good with the Arctozolt and the whole team McGriddle had going there defensively. Quillfish for Wisdom, key defensive piece. Intim, Pain Split, great season for Quillfish. And then Iron Hands makes it here with John. He might have had Iron Hands here before even. I can't recall. That could be wrong. Don't quote me on that one. But Iron Hands, big part of John's defensive success in his good games. Now we move on to the All SSSDL team. Reminder, these Pokemon are all eligible to play in the All-Star game, which I will go into further detail later, but these are the best 6 Pokemon, and in total, the best 18 Pokemon of this season. So let's get it started with All SSSDL first team. Keldeo from Haxen's Dark Continent Decidueyes, Palafin from Y-Stream's Aussie Arcanines, Greninja from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins, Iron Bundle from Log's Undella Wishful Umbreons, Mega Mawile from Whackasqueef Quills, Hisuian Samurott from Whackasqueef Quills. Very fun. We have those 5 water type kill leaders all here on the first team. Keldeo was off to an insane start at the beginning of this season. I remember we were talking about it. We thought it was going to be the one to break Chi and Pao's record based on the start it had. Of course, the season became a little bit more up and down throughout that, but Keldeo still had a great season. Keldeo finishes with 13 kills on the season on 1,300 damage, which is quite good. Palafin, of course, second in the kill leader race with 15 for Y-Stream. This mon was crazy running Choice Band Jet Punch the whole season, and he just stuck to his guns most of the time, and it really paid off. I know it was really troublesome versus me. Greninja had a slow start to the season. It didn't come to either of the first 2 games, one of which I lost. And after that, I brought it to all 6 games, and I won all 6 games. And Greninja picked up 17 kills in those 6 games, which is pretty unprecedented stuff, as well as being the second most damage in the league with 1,336. Quite a crazy season. What else is there to say about Gren? Iron Bundle for Log jumps up to 5th on the kill leaderboard with 11 in 8 games and just over 1,000 damage, 6 wins. Pretty good for Iron Bundle. Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, you know a bundle does. Mega Maw for Wacka was great, used in Trick Room. It had a couple of really big games, especially towards the end of the season. I know it demolished Chick. I know it was a problem for Sam. Pretty scary mon when it gets going. It definitely depends on its matchup, but in the matchups it had that were good, it really did pick up those KOs. Came in just over 1,000 damage, and of course won all of its games. Same thing goes for Samurott on the same team. 12 KOs, 3 deaths in 7 games, 888 damage, 7 wins in 7 games. Pretty impressive stuff, and that'll get Hammy into the MVP conversation as well as making all SSSDL first team. And another interesting stat here I didn't mention, Palafin, the only Pokemon to have made an all SSSDL team entirely, first, second, or third team of any of these mons. Greninja's only been drafted once, Keldeo had only been drafted once, Iron Bundle had only been drafted once or twice, Mega Maw had been drafted once, and Samurott had been drafted once or twice, but they have never had seasons good enough to make it on SSSDL, so pretty cool that the top tier mons had never really been here before. Palafin did make it season 1 with James, though. Moving on to second team All SSSDL, we've got Darmanitan Galar from Chickadee's Indonesian Infernapes, Curum from Samkey's Go City Go-Goats, Spectrier from Samkey's Go City Go-Goats, say that fast, Victini from Logs Undella Wishful Umbreons, Iron Moth from Y-Stream's Aussie Arcanines, and Mega Charizard Y from Abash's Hearthome Hunters. Only 2 repeat all SSSDLers here with Megazard Y from Season 1 and Iron Moth from last season with Fletch. Darmanitan Galar was the damage leader for the entire season. Came in with 1,411. I can't remember where that ranks all time, but it's really high up there. I'm quite confident. Had 10 KOs. All of these Pokemon, except for Spectrier and Victini, had 10 KOs, I believe. They both came in with 9. Curum was the kill leader for Sam on a strong playoff team, had 10 KOs, 4 wins. Spectrier was an interesting case. Of course, it's a cleanup sweeper, but Spectrier only 400 damage on 9 kills is pretty interesting. But it's still good enough to get Spectre here. It's hard to deny a Pokemon that won 5 of the 6 games it came to and had 9 KOs. Pretty impressive, pretty good. Victini for Log paired well with Iron Bundle, both speed demons when used with items that boost their speed. But had 800 damage on its 9 kills this season and 4 wins in 6 games. And then Iron Moth for Y-Stream, actually a bit of a sleeper one. Sorry, this one did not have 10 kills either. This one only had 7, but I really think Y-Stream deserves some credit for how good his season was. And I think Iron Moth was great in the games it came to, and he used it actually pretty utility throughout the season as well. It was not just a sweeper, as Iron Moth sometimes is. He allowed it to play some utility, some defensive roles throughout the season, and I think that is part of why his team won as many games as it has. But 7 kills, 4 deaths, 750 damage, which is good as well. And then follow that up with Mega Charizard Y. Well, Mega Charizard Y didn't get to make the playoffs this season. 10 kills and 1,000 damage is still impressive nonetheless, and it was present in both wins that the Hearthome Haunters had this season. And yeah, 3 fire types on second team, 2 ice types. Notable, notable. Moving on to the third and final All SSSDL team for Season 4. We've got Mew from Frank's Kansas City Decidueyes, Pecharunt from Fletch's Montreal Malignant, Alamamula from Logs, Umdello Wishful Umbreons, Hisuian Arcanine from Power Fibbles Joltik Jewels, Gouging Fire from Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins, and Dragapult from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers. Mew was in real contention for second team. Mew was very cool this season. Frank used it in a ton of different ways, a ton of very creative ways, some more successful than others. But it found its way to 9 KOs this season on 872% damage. The thing holding it back from making second team was really the fact that it only had 2 wins in 7 games. A little bit rough. And then Pecharunt. Of course, Pecharunt isn't a crazy kill monster here. I believe it went like 5 and 6, something like that. But defensively, it was quite stout. Same thing goes for Aloe. They both make it here. Primarily off of defensive merit, although they both had a reason. I think Pecharunt had 2 kills and Aloe had 5. That sounds right. Aloe went 5 and 2. I'm quite confident though. So both relatively successful offensively, defensively. Fletch was a top 5 seeded team. Log was a top 3 seeded team, and that's why those mons get here. Power Fable gets Hisuian Arcanine to land on here. It racks up 8 kills, good enough for 15th in the league on 751% damage. Hard to argue against that. It was really strong. I know when I was prepping against it and in the games that came, that Scarf Head Smash was really not something to mess with, or that Scarf Flare Blitz. It's hard to switch in on, and Power Fable used it quite well throughout the season, enough to get it here. Gouging Fire for Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins gets here. The second time it made it with Dunk last season. Gouging Fire had a pretty up and down season. I started using it more defensively towards the earlier parts of the season, and then it had better matchups where I could use it more DD, and that allowed it to pick up its KOs throughout the season. I believe it finished with 6. And yeah, that's why it lands here. And then Dragapult for McGriddleso lands here as well. Yeah, 9 kills throughout the season, 791 damage. Moving on to our awards, we start with our Z Captain of the Year. We used Z moves this year this season for the first time in SSSDL, and it was definitely an experiment. We tried, and I think it's a little telling to say that all 3 of our nominees had 3 or less Z moves used throughout the entire season, but nonetheless, it was fun, and there were some good moments throughout the season with the Z moves. So our nominees are Heliolisk from Chickadee. We'll start with the noms. Heliolisk from Chickadee, Diancie from Sam, and Arctozolt from McGriddleso. Heliolisk's case, I'm really factoring stats less towards this award than most awards. I think it's more important how they use their Z moves, and I know Helio got 2 KOs with the 2 Z moves it used, which is nice. Diancie used 2 Z moves in weeks 1 and 2, didn't use much from there. And then Arctozolt used 3 Z moves throughout the season. I don't think any of them picked up KOs throughout the season, and with that being said, The winner is going to be Heliolisk from Chickadee's Indonesian Infernapes. Like I said, I think the driving force for me was it used Z Breakneck Blitz. I know one of them was off a Hyper Beam, which is pretty cool to bring on the moveset. But it picked up 2 KOs. I believe they were both turn one, both time it did it, and it was a swing that allowed Chickadee to make playoffs. Heliolisk was a reason that allowed him to push him to playoffs. So that's why Helio lands up here in those games. Uh, yeah, so Z Captain of the Year, replaced Terra Captain of the Year. Heliolisk is our winner for Season 4. Moving on to our next award, we've got the LVP, the Least Valuable Pokemon of the Year, one of the best awards of all time. Your nominees are Tentacruel from Power Fables Joltik Jewels, King Gambit from McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers, and Klefki from Samkey's Go City Go Goats. Tentacruel has a pretty abhorrent stat line here. 7 games played, 0 kills, 7 deaths, just over 150 damage, took 700 taken and 7 deaths. So pretty easy to see what happened there. Had 2 wins in those 7 games, which is notable. King Gambit, 5 games, 5 deaths, no kills. No kills with King Gambit is certainly something. 280 damage, and it took just shy of 500, and it only had 1 win in those 5 games. Klefki for Sam, although Klefki is not a mon that's supposed to get KOs, nor really is Tentacruel, like 34% direct damage is crazy. He must have clicked like 2 attacks the entire season. Took just over 400 damage, and it only came and got 1 win. I think depending on who your winner would be, if you're leaning Tentacruel, it's for the sheer amount of poor stats throughout the season. If you're leaning King Gambit, it's because of your expectations for a Pokemon like King Gambit to be a little bit better, to at least get a KO, to be part of a winning team because it's like a 14, 15 point mon. And then same thing kind of with Klefki is it only got 1 win for a Pokemon that historically been extremely winning. That is why it finds itself here. Your winner for, or loser, depending on your point of view, and your winner or loser, depending on how you look at it, for least valuable Pokemon LVP is going to be King Gambit for McGriddleso's Bronx Bombers. I think I lean here purely because it is like a 14-point Pokemon. You'd really expect it to do something. And overall, McGriddleso's team really disappointed. For a team that's made playoffs 3 times, he comes up short at 3-5 this season. And King Gambit did not show up in the ways it was supposed to. And that is why it is presented here with the Iron Leaves trophy. Yeah, that's why it finds itself here. A good Pokemon that just had an awful season. Only 1 win in 5 games. And the team won 2 of the 3 games it did not come to. So, notable. And then moving on to our next award is going to be Heat of the Year. Always one of the most fun awards to look back on. Our nominees are going to be Vileplume from Bash's Hearthome Haunters, running Sunny Day Chlorophyll offensive early in the season. Shaman Sky from Ystream's Aussie Arcanines, which ran Physical Natural Gift Petal Blizzard set, which was neat. And then Melodic from Frank's Kansas City's Decidueyes, which ran a Dragon Dance set in week 3, I believe. We have their total stats here, but really the stats at the bottom are what they had in the game they played. Vileplume got a kill on 138% damage. Shaman Sky got 2 kills, 193 damage. It ate its berry, its Salac berry, and hit Hisui and Gudra and got the KO. And then Dragon Dance Melodic picked up 2 KOs versus Sam, I believe. Your winner for Heat of the Year, the best set of the year, will be Ystream's Shaman Sky. This one felt like a lock from the moment it happened. I mean, you got the replay, the highlight here on the right. Click Swords Dance on the switch in, and then he hits him with the Natural Gift. Natural Gift fighting off of Salac Berry. Very cool mixed set with Air Slash, Petal Blizzard, and Natural Gift. And of course the Salac Berry, which could be useful in situations where you don't use it for Natural Gift. I just think it's super cool. And I remember being in this game, we had a Deafen game going on between Log and Ystream, and I mean Ystream Swords dances on the switch and Log sits there and looks at the moveset for a good 30 seconds and says, well, what is he doing? Like, what am I scared of here? You know? Because normally Gudra walls this thing quite well outside of Earth Power, and Earth Power is really not strong enough to break through that mon. So it was a very, very cool moment to see it not only be just a very creative set, but the way it came to fruition in what I would say is a very impactful game, especially because these two teams are rematching in finals. So this allowed Ystream helped him win that game in what is this, week 5, I believe. Helped him win that game against Log, against a very good team that makes playoffs, is the 3 seed, and teams that will rematch in the finals. So the two best teams of this season. So just a really cool moment. One of my favorite heats we've ever had probably is. So Ystream, great job thinking creatively, and not only that, but pulling it off. Our next award is going to be Most Improved Pokemon. Your nominees are Mega Scizor from Jin's Pearl City Pink Urchins, Iron Bundle from Logs Undella Wishful Umbreons, and Greninja from Jin's Pearl City Pink Urchins. I do have 2 nominees here, but I mean, both Mega Scizor and Greninja are coming off their last seasons. They were LVP candidates. So Mega Scizor is coming off season 2, where it played in 5 games, had 0 kills and 5 deaths on 1 win. I would say upgrading from 1 win to 6 wins is very good in itself. 0 kills to 4 kills. Iron Bundle is coming off of a season 2 with Chickadee, where it was projected to be one of the better Pokemon in the season, and while it was usable, and it really didn't see those expectations we had. Played in 7 games, 5 kills, 6 deaths, and 1 win. Improves this season to a 6-win Pokemon in 8 games with 11 kills and half as many deaths. So more than double kills, half as many deaths. Good stuff. Big improvement from Bundle. And then Gren. Greninja improves from season 1, where it was an LVP candidate for Phoenix, where it played the same amount of games, 6 games. This is the only other time Greninja has been used. So it was used in season 1. It was drafted in season 2 by Waka, but then was promptly dropped in Grace. But yeah, played in 6 games season 1, got 1 KO all season, died 6 times in 6 games, but it did get 2 wins. But the improvement from 1 kill to 17 kills and 6 deaths to 1 death is, I mean, hard to deny. Your winner is going to be Greninja. You've seen the stats jumping up from 1 kill to 17, being one of the worst seasons ever for a high tier Pokemon, jumping up to one of the best seasons ever for any Pokemon in SSSDL is quite the big jump, and Greninja was quite great for me this season. Yeah, but we will be talking about Greninja more as it is an MVP candidate, so we will save some of that for then. Our next award, Rookie of the Year. Your nominees are Darmanitan Galar from Chickadee's Indonesian Infernape, Spectrier from Sam Kitty's Ghost City Go-Goats, and Mew from Frank's Kansas City Decidueyes. There's a lot of things in this league trying to trip me up. There's 2 Decidueye teams. There's Samkey and Chickadee. You guys are trying to trick me. Anyways, Darm G. I think this is a especially cool season for this award because we ran the sale draft board as well. All of these Pokemon were on sale this season, and that's what lands them here. Is they were there were so many Pokemon that were on sale, able to be drafted for the first time ever. And yeah, so our Rookie of the Years, Darm led the league in damage, and they made playoffs. Sam's Spectrier, 9 kills, is good enough to be quite good. It was all SSSDL first team. All 3 of these Pokemon made all SSSDL. Spec and Darm second team, Mew third team. But yeah, your winner is going to be Darmanitan Galar for Chickadee's Indonesian Infernapes. How do you deny your first season in the league and you're the damage leader? Sheesh, that's pretty nice. A 10-piece in your first season? Not to mention Darm, every single game it played that I watched, I was just like, that damage is ridiculous. And it's because Chick ran it choice banded a sneaky amount of times. I remember seeing a U-turn Primarina resisted U-turn Primarina for like 50% damage. It was just like, whoa, what are we doing? It's just so strong. Icicle crashes, hard to deny. Darm did have a couple letdown games, and it missed a couple really big icicle crashes. It was a pretty unfortunate season for the Indonesian Infernapes, but there's always next season to bounce back. But Darm overall did have a truly great season. 8 games, 10 kills, 1400 damage is quite spectacular in Darmanitan's first season in the league. Moving on, defensive Pokemon of the year. Your nominees are Petrarunt from Fletch's Montreal Malignants, Alomomola from Logs on Delo Wishful Umbreons, and Mega Scizor from Jaden's Pearl City Pink Urchins. Petrarunt, like we said on all SSSDL first team, Fletch knows how to use this Pokemon well. There's insane coach-player chemistry. It's like Petrarunt's half of the GM of this team. Like, he's the mascot. He's been on the team 2 seasons in a row. And you can see he took over 1,000 damage. Quite great. 3 wins on a team that made playoffs. It did have 5 KOs. Not the KOs factor into this. And then I also put the damage per death because I think that's a pretty relevant stat. 180 damage per death for Petrarunt. Doesn't jump off the table, but Petrarunt was really in there helping Fletch win games. Alomomola for Log came to all 8 games, won 6 of them, and it took the most damage in the league at 1,142 damage. Also got a sneaky 34 passive damage between Toxic and Burns. And then had a pretty great 571 damage per death, which is quite good. I mean, it was just a regen bot flip turning, helping him pivot into his sweepers, and that's what allowed him to get to the 3 seed. And then Mega Scizor for me, in 6 games, it won all 6 games. It only had 1 death all season in those 6 games, and it took 758 damage, which will show you a pretty revelationist number, 758 damage per death. Good enough for best in the league, obviously, off only 1 death is the sample size, but Mega Scizor was definitely my defensive backbone and allowed me to jump up to the 2nd seed. There was truly no one else on my team who did it like Mega Scizor when I needed it. And with that all being said, your winner for Defensive Pokemon of the Year will be Alomomola, the 2-time Depoy champ. Aloe won Depoy in Season 1, and it is here to win Depoy in Season 4. Aloe, it's hard to deny, most damage taken in the leagues. Like, it was like top 5 in damage taken per death, and on one of the 3 best teams in the league. Really hard to say anything else about that, but Aloe was truly fantastic this season, taking hits, pivoting, getting that passive damage when it was needing, walling when it needed. Aloe did it all for one of the best teams in the league that is now in the finals. And that leads us to Coach of the Year, our second to last award. Your nominees are MIA coach Waka and of the Queef Quills, Jaden of the Pearl City Pink Urchins, and Log of the Undelo Wishful Umbreons. These are the top 3 seeds. I think all 3 coaches have a very good case to be Coach of the Year. All 3 of them have precedent. We've given it to the best record before. We've given it to the biggest improvement before. We've given it to the best diff before. And those are your 3 reasons. Waka went 8-0. First time that's ever been done. He was the number 1 seed. Jaden went 7-1, had the best diff ever, beating the record of plus 21 that was set in seasons 1 and 2 by Steven and Waka respectively. Both came out 7-1 plus 22, or plus 21, and this season I did it at plus 22. Also coming in the 2nd seed with 2 all SSSDL members, and then Log at 6-2. The worst record of the 3, but a pretty great diff for 2 losses, was the 3rd seed and had 3 all SSSDL members. And his case really hinges on him having the biggest improvement, being, I believe, the 2nd to worst team last season at 3-5. Jumping up to 6-2 is mightily impressive. And with that all being said, this was probably the hardest award I had to choose. The voters had to vote on this whole season. And the winner will be Log Monster. Logan will be our Coach of the Year, coaching the Undelo Wishful Umbreons. Had a truly great season, and I think he really evolved as a Mons player, and for that reason, I think I'm going to put him up here. And I mean, he's backed up. This was purely based on regular season performance, but he's backing up the talks. He's in finals right now. He's made his first finals appearance, 2 playoff wins, and best of luck to him and the Undelo Wishful Umbreons in the finals against Ystream next week. But yeah, congrats to Log for being Coach of the Year, and good luck in the finals. Moving on to the most valuable Pokemon of the season for Season 4. Your nominees are Samurott Hisui for Waka's Queef Quills, Greninja for Jaden's Pearl City Pincurchins, and Palafin for Ystream's Aussie Arcanines. All three of these, I think, also have a case. So much so, and since I really have a big horse in this race, because I do think this is the most valued award you can win, I did allow this one to be voted upon. So I will read off the votes, but first, let me go through all three of the cases because all three Pokemon do have a case. Samurott was the best Pokemon on the best team, an easy narrative to give to the MVP Pokemon. Played in 7 games, won all 7 games. The team went 8-0. Samurott had 12 kills, which is good enough for 4th in the league, and did 888% damage. And then we've got Greninja on my team. Played only 6 games, but 17 kills. Like we said earlier, tied the most kills ever in a season. Only on 1 death, won all of the games it played, and was also on the second seeded team. And 1,300 damage is not shabby at all. And then Palafin is here because it was on another great playoff team. Ystream was the 4 seed. And it had 15 kills, good enough for 2nd in league, right behind Greninja. The arguments for all three of these, Samurott was on the best Pokemon on the best team. Greninja was the kill leader, which has precedent for being MVP. It also 2nd most damage in the league and also had 100% wins. Palafin's precedent is the quality of the wins. It had a harder schedule than I would say Waka or I had. I think Ystream had a harder schedule. All three of these Pokemon did play against each other at some point. Of course, Samurott won against both the other Pokemon. Greninja did win against Palafin too. So this one was hard for me to decide on because I just think there's a lot of things at play. And with that all being said, I had you guys vote on it. I asked everyone to vote. We got 11 votes, which isn't bad. And so that will decide our MVP. The first vote is for Greninja. The second vote is for Palafin. The third vote is for Samurott Hisui, all tied up at 1. Next, we've got Palafin at 2. Samurott at 2, Greninja at 2. We had at least 2 votes for every Pokemon. And after that, so that's 6 of our votes. 5 more. The first one goes to Greninja. We'll take the lead. Following that, we've got Greninja. Following that, we've got Greninja, and then Greninja, and then Greninja is your most valuable Pokemon for this season. It won with 63% of the total votes between all 3 Pokemon. So thank you guys to awarding my Pokemon Greninja with MVP. I do truly believe Greninja deserved it this season, as, 17 kills is historic amount of kills in a season, and a number 2 seeded team is what gets Gren here. Gren was really fantastic once I learned how to use it, and not only did I use Gren offensively, I brought it Assault Vest once, and just the versatility this Pokemon has to run both Protean and Battle Bond, although I found Battle Bond was better for team success. And it was just a great Pokemon that once it gets going, Palafin's great because it comes in and after you do your little pivot, you just click Choice Band Jet Punch and it sets up that end game. You're just playing for that end game. Greninja is similar, but I think Greninja is stronger because Greninja, it gets that 1 kill and then +1, it allows it to run mix sets super easily. +1 speed is scary. You're allowed to switch moves, which is really great. I really loved using Greninja by the end of this season. So thank you, Greninja, for being a great Pokemon, and thank you guys for voting Greninja as MVP. That will conclude our awards, but we've got some preseason bets to go through, starting with Haxon's Dark Continent Decidueye. His line as a new coach was set at 2.5. I think that's always the line for new coaches. He hit 3. He hit the over. Most people get it right. His side bet was how many Pokemon take a 4 times effective death because he had a Weavile, a Moltres, a Tapu Bulu, a Landorus Therian, maybe even one more, a Ferrothorn maybe. He had a lot of Pokemon that could die from 4 times effective moves, but only 3 times did it happen. These lines were definitely funky. 10.5. He only had 3. We'll learn for next season. But most people guessed under, and most people got it right. Moving on to McGriddle. His line was set at 4.5 wins. He only hit 3 this season. As a team that has made playoffs in every other season, he did finally come up short this season, which is all right. It happens. You have bad seasons. I have bad seasons. Everyone has bad seasons. But most people do get this one right. Most people did click the under. His side bet was King Gambit Sucker Punch KOs, which is kind of funny in hindsight because King Gambit did not get any KOs, nonetheless, any Sucker Punch KOs. So the line of 2.5 it comes in with a 0 for the under. Next, we've got Logs on Dello Wishful Umbreons. His line was at 3.5 after last season, and of course he smashed that with 6 wins. Most people doubted him. 30% of people get this one right. His side bet was Iron Bundle Hydro Pump misses. The line was set at 2.5, and he only missed 2. I believe he only clicked it 5 or 6 times this season. He really strayed away from it, so 2 misses is actually kind of high proportionately. So it does hit the under, and only 30% of people picked that. The same proportion as the people who picked his over. Neat stat. Next, Wisdom's Atlanta Braviaries. His line was 3.5 after making playoffs last season. He only managed to find 2 wins this season, and the majority of people picked the over on that one. His side bet was Ogerpon Wellspring crits. The line was 3.5. He did not get any. Granted, Ogerpon did not come to very many games. Next, we've got John's Edmonton Emolgas. His line was set at 2.5. And like the Tide, my boy John hits 3 wins for the 4th season in a row. John has won 3 games every season. The man is like the phases of the moon, the exact same. His side bet was total rapid spins. And despite having a Komala, a Starmie, and an Iron Treads for half the season, he did not even click Rapid Spin once. So, most people do get this right. But yeah, I got to drink some water real quick. I'm getting lightheaded. Next, we've got Samkey and the Ghost City Go-Goats. His line was 4.5, which I think was a bit strong, but he did hit the over, and a lot of people did not pick that. 15% of people, I believe that is just like 2 people picking the over on him, and he does hit that over. So good job, Sam. Good job proving the doubters. His side bet was Diancie Diamond Storm Boost. The line was 4.5. He hit 7. Most people get this one right. Next, we've got Chickadee. His line at 3.5. He only hits 3, which will be the under. Most people get this one wrong. People believe in Chick, and he did not back it up, but he did make playoffs for the first time. So congrats, Chick. His side bet was Rotom Wash misses. The line was 3.5. He did not miss any. He clicked Hydro Pump 4 times. That was the only move he clicked that could have missed. No Will-O-Wisps, but he did not miss any, which is pretty funny from what people would maybe describe as the unluckiest season of all time. I might. He didn't miss any Hydro Pumps. Next, we've got Frank and the Kansas City Decidueyes. Of course, this line was set for Steven in mind. So a midseason coach transfer definitely throws off the mojo of the team. So the line of 4.5 did come up short with 2. Most people also were picking, all people were picking for Steven. So most people picked the over and get this one wrong. But the side bet was kind of fun. Different moves used by Mew. If Mew gets drafted again, I will do this because I think it was fun. Frank smashes the over with 21 moves used. I knew he was going to smash the over when I started seeing him running rollout and defense curl. He even used roost and soft boiled, which I think was fun. I don't even know if he knows about the side bet because he wasn't here for the start of the season, but he smashed it. Most people get this one right. Next, we've got Power Fable and the Joltik Jewels. He had a line of 2.5. I have the undercolored wrong, my bad. But 2 wins hits him on the under. His side bet was Jirachi flinches, 7.5. He got none. He only clicked Ironhead once, and he was slower all season. So, interesting. Next, we've got Wacka and the Queef Quills. 5.5 wins was the line. That's a pretty tough line, most would say. Most people picked against it even. But he goes undefeated and hits the over. His side bet was Hydrapple Fickle Beam procs. His line was 3.5, expecting it to be clicked a couple times. Did not get a single one this season. Happens. I know he did try to get a few in a couple weeks. And next we got Ystream, his line at 4.5, the former champ. Most people believed in him, and he hits with 5 wins. And then his side bet was Archaludon Stamina Boost. Most people get this one right. He almost doubled my line with 17 Stamina Boosts. Next we've got a Bastion and the Hearthome Haunters. His line was 4.5 coming off of a semifinal season. Only finds 2 wins in a unfortunately disappointing seasons. His side bet was how many times does Mega Charizard Y coming out on Stealth Rocks? And the answer is under 1.5. He did not take Stealth Rocks damage once on Mega Charizard Y, which is pretty cool. And every single person except for Abastia took the over on that one. So good job of Ashton knowing your mons and knowing how not to take that. And Zard was still a very productive mon this season. It was all SSSDL second team and had 10 kills. So very cool. Next, we've got Fletch and the Montreal Malignants. Coming off of a finals appearance, his line was pretty high at 4.5, and yet the people doubted him. Only 15% of people picked the over, and he hits it with 5 wins. His side bet was parting shots used between Petrarunt and Grafii, which he did have Z on. He only did 6 parting shots. They were all with Petrarunt, and he in every single game that he did click parting shot, he clicked it twice. That's your fun stat, but he does not hit the over. Most people get that one wrong. And lastly, we have me. My line was 5.5, which I think is pretty strong. I do not doubt people for picking against that, but I do hit the over with 7 wins in my best regular season performance. My side bet was Flowit Eternal KOs because I thought that was the silliest mon on my team. The line was at 2.5, and I got 5 KOs with Flowit Eternal, so shout out Flowit. Flowit's the GOAT. I had a ton of fun using it. I think it's a super underrated Pokemon when it is allowed. Yeah, so most people get that one right. Moving on to our end of season general bets, we had Naganadel had a line of 9.5 kills. It in its first season allowed in the league, it had 8. So most people do not get that one right. The first overall pick did not hit double-digit kills. Spectrier was here because of all the controversy between Waka really wanting it, Sam really wanting it, them trading up trying to get it, the trading of draft picks. Spec had a great season, but it did not hit 10 KOs, so it falls 1 short. Most people get that one right. And then Mega Mawile for Waka had a line of 8.5, which it succeeded. Most people picked wrong against that one. Next, we've got Enamorous, who was supposed to be on Steven's team. It did stay on the team. I don't think 8 kills is the correct number for it. I believe it had much less than 8. So it does hit the under. Dragapult plus Iron Valiant was our parlay of the season. Had a line of 16.5, and they only get 16. They come up 1 short. The powerful duo. People go, how do you allow a team to get Iron Valiant and Dragapult? And this is why it doesn't always pay off to go super, super top heavy. But yeah, they come up 1 short. Hell of a line. Most people get that one wrong. Next, we've got our line of 0.5 forfeits. 0 forfeits. We hit the under. Bang, bang. 2 haters picked against it. And then the line of new playoffs teams, our line was 3.5. We did have 5 new playoffs teams. Waka didn't make it last season because we didn't play. Log didn't make it last season. Sam didn't make it last season. Chick didn't make it last season. And Haxon was a new coach. And they all make playoffs. So congrats to them for making playoffs after either not playing or missing last season. So, yeah. So they hit the over. Most people get that one right. Early. It is supposed to be the over. 46% of people got that one right. My bad. And then we've got the amount of Pokemon with 10 plus KOs was a new line. Dude, I messed up the coloring on this one too. Most people picked the under on this one, but we had 9, so we did hit the over this season. This was a very polarizing season, I would say, and that probably plays a part in that. And then this was the worst line by far that I set. The amount of Z moves used, the line was 29.5. This was for roughly a Z move to be clicked by either team in half of games. Because I think there's like 56 total games, and then times 2, there's the potential for like 120, right? And the line was 29.5. I didn't bother counting this because I knew it was way under. If I had to guess, it's around 15, 16. It felt like there was roughly 2 clicked a week. Some weeks with just 1. But yeah, and that leads us to the preseason predictions leaderboard. Based on how you predict all of those things we just went over, Haxon is in first place with 22.25. I gave half a point for if you picked a Pokemon for an award that was a nominee. So like the way you might get here is if you picked Spectrier to win Rookie of the Year, but it was a nominee and did not win. I gave it half a point, which is the same thing I did last season. And then the 0.25s come from your semifinals predictions and semifinals predictions. Since you have 4 options, I split it up in 0.25. So if you got one right, you got 0.25. If you got all 4 right, you got an extra point. Finals predictions is also in there at 0.5 points. And then finals winner is the only thing that can sway these votes. I don't remember if that could sway the votes. If Wystrom picked himself and he wins, he might jump up to first. I'll have to double check that. I know Log picked himself, but he can't jump to first place no matter what. But Haxon is in the lead with 22.5, Wystrom in second with 21.5, and Sam in third with 21.25. McGriddleso is in last after I believe he won it last season, so just notable. And then the last thing I have to talk to y'all about tonight is the All-Star game, which will be running hopefully this weekend. We'll see. This is a new thing we're trying. We'll see how it goes. It might be bad. It might be great. It might be really fun. This is supposed to be reminiscent of the NBA All-Star game, if you're familiar with that. If not, no worries. I'm going to explain all of it. We're going to have two of our runner-up coaches play it in the same week as finals, although since the semifinals got played early, we might be able to play it this weekend, which would be cool. Yeah, typically we would have the two, I guess always, the two semifinal losers are invited to coach the All-Star game. So the two winners play in finals, the two losers play in this game. You could think of it as like a third place game, but you won't really be using your own Pokemon. So it's not really your team. And there's also not as much stakes. It is fun though. It will be tracked. So I guess that is your stakes, is that I'll probably put it on the dock somewhere. But yeah, so we invited Waka and Sam as the losers to be the coaches. Waka declined. We pivoted to Chickadee, will be our other coach for this season. And they will face off. And how it's going to work is they draft from this pool of all SSSDL players of Pokemon. They have 18 options to pick here. They will pick in snake order. Whoever has the first pick will pick, and then the second person picks twice, so on and so forth until they pick through all 18 of these Pokemon and both have a team of 9, which is roughly how much you would have on a draft team. And then they prep against each other for a day or two, or maybe day of. We'll see how it works out. And then the format we will run will actually be 9 versus 9. So every single Pokemon will be prepped for and will come, which will be unique and fun. We'll see how it works. I did this because it allows every Pokemon that made all SSSDL to actually come to the game and play, which I think is fun. And also, since it's a less serious game, just as the All-Star game is in the NBA, where, people are just doing silly stuff all the time, I think the silly stuff we're doing is it's 9 versus 9, and that allows coaches to bring more fun sets, and they have more roles, and do whatever you guys want. We'll see how it works this season. But yeah, that's all I have is the All-Star game. It will be Chick versus Sam, and now that the All SSSDL teams are released, I will have them draft at some point. I'll probably live stream it or something, and then I'll post it somewhere, probably in announcements, and then they will prep against each other and then play. I probably spent way too much time explaining this, but I hope it's really fun and that it's something we can continue to further seasons. And yeah, that's really all I have. And then I just kind of had a last note. This was a great season. I'm very excited to the finals. Thank you guys to everyone for playing. Thank you guys for watching this video and watching my dumb award ceremony and how seriously I like to take this little draft league of mine. I appreciate this community so much. I appreciate all the people in it, and all the effort you guys put in, and the playing games every single week. We had a drop mid-season due to personal circumstances, and we had a guy pick up. Every other league, you give the other coach a forfeit win every single time. But I came down to John and I said, hey, if you're willing to play on short notice against the same team, and he said, yes, absolutely. He doesn't take the forfeit win. And I think that shows the character of a lot of people in our draft league. It's not just John. There's a lot of people who game gets delayed for personal reasons. No one ever asks for the forfeit win. There's jokes, obviously, but I really appreciate you guys playing your games, having fun, being competitive, and everything that comes along with just having this great community. As Supreme 7-Star comes up on its 1-year anniversary, which our Season 1 draft was, I believe it started April 28th, so we've got about a week until then. So yeah, just thank you guys for a great season, and good luck to Log and Ystream in the finals. Thank you for watching the Season 4 award ceremony. Goodbye.